Following Ann Curry's controversial and tear-filled exit, the fortunes of NBC's Today Show and its host Matt Lauer fell pretty fast. This week, New York Magazine's cover story you can see here takes a look inside the turmoil at the morning show, the backstage negotiations, and today's fall from #1. Joining us is the author of the cover story, Joe Hagan, the contributing editor at New York Magazine.
Last week, it was in the news. Matt gave it one of his first interviews to the Daily Beast. Howard Kurtz, kind of explaining his side of, what had happened in the last year and sort of giving his inside account. And then shortly after that, there was a big New York Times cover about it, too. And I had already been working on this story for about a month. And so suddenly I had to kind of incorporate what everybody else was writing and kind of figure out, well, what's true? It was Matt Lauer's sort of version of events, the definitive account of what had gone down in the last year, the reason the ratings had come down.
So what was the conclusion? What was true?
Well, I think what was true was that Matt Lauer and some of the managers at NBC News, the executive producer of the Today Show, were all kind of on the same page as to what was the problem with the show. And they had all determined early last year that Ann Curry was not working on the show. She'd only been there about 6 months when they were starting to make this determination. And so they had to very carefully kind of go about figuring out how to take her off the show. Now, this was happening at the same time that Matt Lauer was trying to negotiate his contract with NBC. So there was this very careful dance going on over how to keep Lauer at the network and take Ann Curry off of the show. And so this turned out to be really too much for these, for the executives in NBC to handle, and it kind of blew up in their face. Subsequently, you saw, I think they've lost 800,000 viewers since last year, so it's been quite a remarkable fall.
So,
ratings had already been softening under Meredith Vieira, who was, much beloved, but despite that, the show was starting to get a little stale. It wasn't really evolving very quickly. And so when Meredith Vieira left rather suddenly, they had to kind of scramble to figure out what to do. They almost, they tried to bring back Katie Couric. That didn't work out. And Ann Curry was contractually obligated to get the job or she could leave the network, and so they put her in. And so that is a good point, because some people say, well, it wasn't really Ann Curry. It was just the show was slowly going down anyway. And by the way, Good Morning America was sort of getting traction the other way. So, and one thing I would note in the reporting that I thought was really fascinating was early last year, NBC conducted some internal research that showed it wasn't really Ann Curry per se that was taking the ratings down, but that viewers noticed that Matt Lauer himself didn't look as sort of attractive next to her, that his behavior, he seemed aloof to people, or he seemed not happy, or they were picking up on the fact that he didn't have any chemistry with Ann Curry.